Okay, welcome back to this next segment. And so far we've seen the importance of prior probabilities when you do set them by hand in the manual mode. Now, given the importance of this topic, CART actually offers you a very powerful means of automation where you can essentially choose a range of prior probabilities, choose the step size, and then let CART build a sequence of trees on the grid of priors and package them as a one overall container. So let us see how this is done. Again, I'm going back to my example here. And I'm going to close all of the windows so that we're not contaminating things. So I'll go back to model setup. And this time, instead of building individual runs using priors dialogues and changing things by hand, I'm going to switch to battery tab. And in this case, look for battery with the name prior. Now, it may not be available to in some of the versions of the software like Basic or Pro, so you may want to double check which version the battery prior becomes available. And once you add it here, you can configure exactly what you want to do in what kind of automation prior probabilities you want to get. So, for instance, prior class will be set to 1. So we're going to manipulate prior associated with the spam group. And we're going to start with a very small prior of 0.05. And we're going to end at a very large prior of 0.95. And by the way, sometimes you may start at even lower values, say 0.01, and then end at 0.99. It's up to you. And the increments will be in units of 0.05. So that should overall give me about 19 different runs on the specified grid of priors. So that's all I need to do. I no longer worry about priors tab. Just go straight into battery prior, configure the grid, and then click Start. So at this point, it automatically generates a collection of 19 trees by changing prior probability associated with the spam group from 0.05 to 0.95 in increments of 0.05. And as you can see, it runs fairly quickly. So once the run is done, it packages all of those trees into overall container shown as battery results. Now, these are, you have those 19 runs, so you can go over those. And if you double-click on any individual tree, then it opens up that navigator that was packaged inside. So, for example, the first tree is based on prior on spam group set to 0.05, which is a very small number. And in this case, the confusion matrix, not surprisingly, has a very low percent correct in the spam group and a very high percent correct in the good group, only 48 false positives in this case. On the other side of the spectrum, if you go all the way down in this battery, then you can see tree number 19, and the summary report shows confusion matrix. This time, there's a very high accuracy in the spam group and a very low accuracy in the good group. So the nature of the internal decisions is now flipped from one class in favor of one class now to the opposite class. And then you also have all of the intermediate cases as well. Now, the advantage of this approach is now that you have a completely packaged collection of all of those 19 runs, or it could have been 98 different runs depending on your grid settings. And now you can use these as one overall decision-making facility. So, for example, instead of looking at all of these individual trees, you can interpret this entire model as some kind of ensemble model obtained by manipulating priors. Now, in particular, you can take this model and you can score the data set using not just a single tree, but an entire ensemble. So I click the Score button, and In the score button here, I'll just use the same data set that I was using for modeling, but it could be a different data set. Then I'm going to save it as a spam-based score in a CSV form. There's also basically all you need to do. You can also configure some other things here, but that's not really that relevant. So I've just take this entire battery of 19 models and I'm going to score it and save the output into the output data set. So as the scoring process happens here very quickly, now I have this output file that's created, spam-based_score. And if I open that data set in Excel, you can see the type of output that it produces. First of all, it shows the overall voting associated with the committee. It also shows what was the original target, spam or no spam. And it also shows whether the committee prediction was correct or incorrect. Let's say here, target is 1, committee prediction is 1, and Ensemble therefore makes the correct prediction. But here, target is 1, committee predicts 0, therefore Ensemble makes an incorrect prediction. And more interesting information is the last two columns, vote 1 and vote 2. Like for example, here, vote 1 stands for vote for 0 class, vote 2 stands for vote for the focus class, which in this case is a spam group. And as you can see, first 5 records, all of the individual trees from the committee voted them as the spam, and therefore they are classified as spam and they all make correct predictions. However, for the record number 6, now the number of votes for the spam group is only 7 out of 19, therefore the committee assignment is to class 0, and that's where we're getting a misclassification error. And so on and so forth. As you study those last 2 columns, you'll see that at some point they have the votes for a good group go up, and you can actually look at the distributions of those votes and identify records that are correctly classified, records that are classified with very solid margin, or records that are somewhere on the boundary. Okay, to summarize what we learned from this specific activity is that not only does battery prior allow you to generate those different runs and set them in kind of to look at all these different threshold decisions, but it also allows you to score data in the committee setting and then produce these vote counts that can be used to essentially judge how confident we can be that a specific record belongs to one class or another. Now, these votes are a lot more powerful than just simple predicted probabilities from a single tree, because in the committee scoring process you have a lot more flexibility and there's a lot more additional exploration that happens inside of the data. In the next segment, we will also look at yet another way to look at the results of battery prior to highlight yet another aspect of it.